In motorsports, besides results, how attractive a car looks has to be the single most important way to catch someone's eye. In addition, it's a great way to rein outsiders in to follow the sport of racing. Today, I'm going to go through some open-wheel modified paint schemes that I believe are the most beautiful and make the best bedroom wall posters. This is in no particular order, just how they come into my head. I have to admit, some of these paint schemes on the list I have never seen in person because I wasn't born when they were raced, so I've only been able to see them through videos and photos. And as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Also, I want to make a quick shout out to Adam and Paul Folan over at Folan Racing Photos. I've used many clips and photos from them, and I want to give them credit as these videos wouldn't be possible without them. So thanks guys, keep it up. Let's start off with the Czarnecki 20 Modified. Now my favorite Gen scheme was the 2008 through 2015 paint scheme that Doug Coby had on the Modified Racing Series and Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series. The legendary bronze gold paint shines under the bright lights, and even though it is a simple design, the choice of color may be questionable to some, but to me, it hits different and looks great with the chrome-colored Nerf bars and wheels. Now, way back in the late 60s, early 70s, during the coupe modified era, Bob Stefanik, yes, Bob Stefanik, the big brother to Hall of Famer Mike Stefanik, first drove for this car, and the scheme has stayed true to its colors. Times have changes, so the bronze gold shades have been refreshed, but it's relatively the same. Only recently in 2024 has the scheme been updated to a black primary color with bronze stripping. But the number font is the same as it was in 2008 and just looks timeless. Doug Coby, Ted Christopher, Geoff Bodine, and others have raced this car to wins and much success, and even though the Czarnecki brothers aren't the most heavily financed, they still manage to have speed and always been a dark horse threat to win at tracks like Stafford and Waterford. Up next is a paint scheme that really made me think about which year I preferred the most, but I finally came up with a decision. The 2017 Ryan Preece Orange No. 6 paint scheme. Now in 2017, Preece's team, owned by the late Eddie Partridge, had two paint schemes. This is extremely rare, especially at this level of motorsports, but they had a red, white, and blue scheme, which Partridge always used from 2009 and on, and then an orange and white scheme. They introduced this orange scheme in 2016, which was the primary scheme, but then in 2017, they updated the scheme. Preece was driving a Troyer race car, and Maynard Troyer, the owner and founder of Troyer Race Cars, used to drive an orange and white Mustang Pinto, modified with the same design on the doors of the car with the chrome-colored numerals. When Troyer raced his car at the 1979 Spring Sizzler, it was voted the best-appearing race car. I have no arguments there, and after seeing that car and Preece's car in person, I can only agree, and it just makes me want to be a betting man and bet that this team would win every race it entered in. Now, Preece was able to pick up some sponsorship at the midway point of the season and did a small but very tasteful refresh to the quarter panel gradients, and it looks amazing. I think the Simonez sponsorship looked amazing and would convince me to go buy their products to make my car shine as nice as this car. The chrome Nerf bars and wheels make this car stand out as well. In 2017 alone, Preece only won in the orange scheme and took home 5 race victories and 12 top 5 finishes in the 16-race schedule as well. The next paint scheme comes from the 1989 NASCAR Modified Tour season, and it was the defending champion Mike McLaughlin's No. 12 Coors Extra Gold paint scheme. Now, since I was a kid, staring at the special Coors Extra Gold poster that my father has in his house with this car on it, I knew it was a great-looking race car. McLaughlin was fresh off his 1988 championship in the Sherry Cup car, but for 1989, they got sponsorship from Coors Extra Gold, and man, did they knock the design out of the park. Now you can tell, I like when teams utilize the color wheel of gold and bronze and aren't afraid to take chances, and here is no different. The car was painted using the color of the Coors Extra Gold beer cans, so the marketing was perfect as well. My favorite part of all is that the number is an italic. It's not just straight up, it has some style to it. In addition, the number placement is right where the color block design changes from gold to black, and it just helps the transition of colors look smooth. Now the Cavalier body style looked great, especially with the chrome Nerf bars and the narrow nose and grille to complement the paint scheme. Again, the car looked fast, and McLaughlin won 3 races, one of which came at Indianapolis Raceway Park, which I had no idea the modifieds even raced there. I believe most fans seem to prefer the 1988 Sherry Cup paint scheme, but to me, the 1989 Coors Extra Gold paint scheme is the better of the two. The 4th paint scheme on the list is probably my father's favorite. He's a die-hard Geoff Bodine fan, and in 1980, Bodine had the best-looking Pinto modified out there. His car was called the White Tornado, and all it did was win. The White Tornado had gold-tinted chrome-colored numbers with a small amount of texturing done to the numbers as well to really make it shine. The color white may be bland for the main color, but with these attributes and the sweet White Tornado logo next to the air cleaner on the hood opening, it made a statement. The Pinto body style was very sleek and small, so the sponsor logos were crammed in every spot, but nothing was too close to each other and out of place. Bodine won the Spring Sizzler and many other races before heading south to pursue a career at the national level of NASCAR. But he helped bring the Cavalier body style in and still drove the Cavalier version of the White Tornado. My father would tell you the Pinto White Tornado is the better looking of the two, but they both were great. Up next is the 1982 Greg Sachs No. 5 paint scheme. Ernie Wilsberg and Greg Sachs formed this team in 1982, and they had a simple design that looks timeless. From their first race at New Smyrna to all the major events in New England, the No. 5 was able to win and look good doing it. The car utilized a lot of what made Ryan Preece's car and Maynard Troyer's car on this list stand out. The body was white and used bright orange striping on the top and sides to bring the color out. The chrome-colored wheels and Nerf bars make the car sparkle under the lights and shine in the sunshine. The long and sharp grille and nose makes this car look extremely aggressive, and all you had to do was look at it and you knew it was the car to beat. Sachs won 28 races in 1982 alone and had a 74% winning percentage. This showed the car had speed as well as good looks. I was only able to witness this car in person when Ryan Preece drove in during the special vintage modified race at the 2018 Stafford Spring Sizzler, and it was awesome. The No. 5 was colored black and was actually tall and narrow in size. But the placement and font really show it was from the 80s, however. Even with age, the font still makes the car look like it has aged well. Many fans still think Superman Greg Sachs' No. 5 car is the best-looking modified ever painted. By having the number set back and the sharp cut of the nose pointed downward, it made the car look like a missile. The next paint scheme is definitely a crowd favorite. The Mystic Motorsports No. 13 modified driven by Ted Christopher. Now the NASCAR modified tour scheme from 2005 is the best version. This car was owned by Jimmy Galante. The black body and silver numerals made it seem like TC was racing his version of the Intimidator No. 3 car, and it did the part. If you saw this car in your rearview mirror, it was time to move or be moved. The narrow blue and silver striping above and below the numbers looked awesome, especially when the striping crossed over each other. The No. 13 had a special sparkle in it and shined the most of any modified during that season. The big words of Mystique were spelled out across the rear of the car and completed the look. Ted won everything except the modified tour title with Galante in this paint scheme. He won the SK Modified Track Championship in Stafford and Waterford, and is one scheme that I hope his nephew Michael Christopher Jr. would race once as a tribute scheme in the future. The next paint scheme is one I believe is forgotten about. It is the 2002 Silver Bullet No. 21 car for Mike Stefanik. Stefanik drove this late in the season as it was a new car he wanted to have been specially built, as opposed to the main red car owned by his car owner, Art Berry. This was the first race I saw Mike Stefanik win in person, which was the race it was debuted at, the 2002 Fall Final at Stafford Speedway. This car was on rails, and the only time anyone was ahead of it was when it was time to change tires. Once Stefanik left the team after 2003, the car didn't seem to have as much success, but I will never forget how fast this car was and how cool it looked in 2002. The silver with the chrome-colored metalwork made the car sparkle, and as a kid, it shined and stood out to me. In the 2002 NASCAR Cup season, Sterling Marlin's number 40 Coors Light car was the silver bullet. But in the modifieds, the 21 was our silver bullet. Coming up next is the 2008 Todd Szegedy paint scheme. This season, the team ditched the 3 paint schemes from the prior 2 seasons and went with a darker blue base scheme with some lighter blue spots and a white stripe down the sides. This scheme had so much more character and style than the bland basic schemes in 2006 and 2007. The yellow number really brought the colors out as well and looks awesome. The updated color scheme really helped market the Wisk and Snuggle sponsorship as well. The only downsides were that the required decals behind the front wheels kinda hurt the sleekness of the design, but nonetheless, it was a good-looking, timeless scheme. All right, guys, it's time to add it. Big Orange. The number 61 car for Richie Evans. The king of the modifieds had great paint schemes in all generations of modifieds, but my favorite is the Cavalier body style from 1985. Whenever I walk through the front gates at Thompson Speedway, I can't help but look up at the big Richie Evans photo posted up behind the grandstand's tower. The Rapid Roman had a great paint scheme with the city color orange paint he used. The light blue striping on the hood and quarter panels looked awesome. The big blue numerals with the black outlines really made the number stick out, and it looked great. Now the black numerals with the white hood stripe and red quarter panel gradient looks awesome too, but I still prefer the blue numerals. Many teams over the years have done tributes all the way up the Cup Series, but unless it has the number 61 on the side, it's not the same. Jon McKennedy has always had some underrated paint schemes. However, I think his 2024 modified paint scheme is the best. The 79 car always had cool-looking paint schemes, but the update in 2024 made it look awesome. Changing over from red to blue as the main striping really brought this car out. Switching to a base white color rather than the black was a nice change too and helped make the car stand out. I always preferred chrome-colored Nerf bars, however the black-colored Nerf bars complement the black stripes and numerals. Watching this car win at my favorite track at Thompson was awesome, and being able to be in victory lane as well to see this car right after it won made it that much sweeter. In 2024, he won at the Lee USA Speedway and Thompson Speedway while racing in a small schedule for his own team, and I'm looking forward to seeing this scheme in future seasons. Another paint scheme is the current Ronnie Williams number 50 car. They've had a few different versions of this car, but I think the 2023 refresh of this paint scheme is the best. Williams has usually raced with a mostly black paint scheme, but this year the refresh has used more areas of solid blue. With no decals being required behind the front wheels, this car really stands out and looks sleek. The long and tall blue stripe that goes from the top of the rear B pillar to the bottom of the hood, where the headers are with a slight inversion, where the numbers really brings the color out. The blue stripe has a small white texturing inside it, and the number 50 switching over to white really livens the car up. In 2023, Williams won 3 times at Thompson, including the Icebreaker and Modified Racing Series World Series race. He backed it up with a second-place run in a Summer Open Modified race that season as well. I hope this paint scheme continues, as I think it is car owner Adam Scaglia's best yet. So, this next paint scheme is going to a driver that I actually am not a fan of. I respect his resume because it is great, but after how the 2021 season ended, I really lost some respect due to his antics. Hopefully it will change. So this paint scheme is the number 57 M&M Stone Creations, modified for Keith Rocco. I am stuck between the SK modified and the 2021 Tour Type modified. I am a sucker for orange and black cars because, as a kid, I loved when NASCAR would have the Halloween paint schemes. And spooky season schemes always seem to make the mark. Now Rocco's paint scheme isn't a Halloween scheme, but the gloss black color with orange stripes with sharp matte gray numbers and chrome Nerf bars really let this car stand out. The SK modified in 2009 had a more relaxed number font and was colored orange, and I really like that scheme as well. Rocco won the NASCAR National Point Championship with the SK, and in 2021, Rocco won 2 Tour-type modified races at Thompson, even though I can't get over the way he won the 300. Either way, it is a great paint scheme. I just wish the refresh done in late 2023 wasn't done, because the scheme doesn't look as aggressive as the number font is a bit curvy. These next two I'm going to combine as you have to have both of them together, the Boehler 3 and Mystic Missile V4. With the Boehler 3, it is a pretty basic scheme. A few times the scheme has been updated, and I like the older Fred DeSaro 3 with the white outline that Matt Swanson had in 2021, however. When the team built a new chassis in 2017 for Rowan Penning, it really helped make the car look sleeker, rather than keeping the dated look. The taller rear sail panels on the B-pillar really helped, and the lighter blue stripe always was iconic. With the Mystic Missile, I preferred the 2010 paint scheme that Bobby Santos III had. The Troyer chassis had great-looking body panels for the simple design, and it really made the car look mean. The front of the car had the short black stripe, and best part was the Mystic Missile lettering next to the headers, and the big Hutter Racing Engines logo on the hood. Santos won the title that year as well, and this scheme remains as one of the iconic and prettiest paint schemes in modified racing. Now I'm sure this next scheme is a fan favorite, more or so because of the sponsor. I'm talking about the 1989 Teddy Bear Pools number 44 car for Reggie Ruggiero, owned by Mario Fiore. This car was a great-looking race car. It was white with aqua blue-colored water, designed as waves that rode up along the door with the white numeral 44. Reggie's time with this paint scheme saw him with the 1987 Spring Sizzler and much more. Reggie was able to back up the good looks of the car with great finishes. He won 17 times in the 3-year span with the Teddy Bear Pools sponsorship. And as my list for the most beautiful modifieds comes to an end, I have to include the 1998 Beal & Bacon X6 modified for Mike Stefanik. Mike went back-to-back at won the double in the Busch North Series and NASCAR Modified Tour Championship, both with the same paint scheme. The X6 modified had a big X6 logo on the doors painted in blue with red outlines along with a main white base color. The car utilized the Burnham Boilers sponsorship colors perfectly in their red, white, and blue scheme. The nose and rear were painted red, with the center being white and those huge numbers in blue. He won 23 races across those 2 seasons, with a winning percentage of 53%. To say over the course of 2 seasons you were winning nearly half the races is wild. You can tell the looks and performance were on par. I want to end with 2 honorable mentions. First being Ralph Soluim's Zero car and Tony Hirschman's number 48 Key Material Modified. Both are from 2004. The Zero car was always cool to me. It was another bronze gold car with some black mixed in to make it look more aggressive. When Nevin George drove it, I was always excited because I knew he could drive well, and the car just looked cool. Even Carl Edwards drove a renumbered backup car to this car as number 8 at the 2003 North-South Shootout. For the 48th car of Tony Hirschman, the paint scheme was a gloss black body with a blue bordering along the bottom of the door. The border actually brought out the black well, and the black Nerf bars and big white numerals looked great. The big Camco Supply logo in the rear paneling was stylish. Add in the big Key Material logo just above the numbers on the door, and it really stood out. It may have not been as intimidating as the Mystique 13 of TC, but it won the championship in back-to-back years, holding off the 13 car. It won many races at Stafford and Thompson, and definitely has a special place in my heart. So there you have it. Do you agree with my list for the most beautiful modifieds? I'm sure there are other paint schemes that are missing, like the one of Ray Miller, the 2X for Steady Eddie Flemke, the one of Charlie Jarzambek, and many more. Comment below and let me know. So long from the Speedway.